Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
I want to fire out some business names to you. Some you've heard, some you haven't. Hudson Bay Company, Woolworths, Sears, America Online, AOL, Yahoo. Most of those companies are gone, more or less. But I want to give you the name of another company you probably haven't heard of. Certainly if you're in the United States, you haven't heard of it. If you're in the Scandinavia, you've certainly heard of it. Stora Enso. Stora Enso was a company that was actually formed in 1998 through the merger of a Swedish company, Stora AB, and a Finnish company, Enso. And their products range from packaging materials, paperboards, corrugated materials, renewable wood products, and they get a lot of biomaterial, biochemicals, mainly derived from renewable resources. And that's what they're really known for and really geared for. What's the interesting part of this that you know, there's two companies here, they merged, but the Stora piece of it, the Stora, which is the Swedish company, Stora AB, its history dates back to the 13th century when there was mining in this particular region where it was located, the Bergslagen region of Sweden. 13th century, that's the 1400s. That's how it works. That's the 13th century. So literally the company got started before Columbus discovered the Americas. I mean, that goes back a long time. They had no idea that there was North America when this company started. You know, to me, that's just wild. And over the years, Stora has diversified into various industries, mining, ironworks, forestry. And in the 19th century, it was transformed into a major player in pulp and paper products. And I think it's a great example of little things done consistently, and they're still around. We're Sears. Sears is gone, and I realize they're different industries, but arguably Stora and now Stora Enso is the oldest company on the planet. But how I want to tie this into networking is that when we get out to network, we're always looking for that Herculean task, that one thing that's going to catapult our network to incredible heights. You know, what can it be? And I get out, I talk to a lot of groups, and people are always trying to pick my brain for what's the one thing I should do. And people try to find that one thing, and they generally end up frustrated because the truth is that it's never the one thing. It's always small, daily, seemingly inconsequential activities that make up the difference between building lasting, uber productive professional relationships and just kind of swearing off networking altogether. And again, I think that's, Stora Enso, the Stora piece, they just, they were the tortoise. It have been the tortoise. They're not looking for anything flashy. They're just looking to plod along and create gains. A few months ago, Marlies Var, who is the owner of Powerful Marketers, she's out of Estonia. She shared with me a meme or a graphic that illustrated the power of small, consistent efforts. And what the graphic showed is, for our people certainly listening, and I don't even have a graphic to show to the people who are seeing this on video. What it showed was a mathematical representation, 1.00 to the 365th power. And what that represents is the status quo. That represents doing nothing. And 1 to the 365th power equals 1. 1 to any power, 1 to infinity is 1. But the second part of the graphic showed 1.01 to the 365th power. And that represented, as I understood it in the graphic that Marlies shared with me, of doing something small each day. 1.01. Nothing huge, but just something real small each day. And what that number comes out to, 1.01 to the 365th power, is 37.7. Now, when I first saw it, I had to do the math. I had to pull out my calculator and dust off my. I don't know when I learned that in high school, but I had to figure it out. But I figured it out. It did come out to that the graphic was absolutely correct, 37.7. And so I wanted to play with it. Once I figured it out, I was going to play with it. Okay, what's 1.001? A tenth of that small effort. That came out to 1.44, which is a 44% increase. So just doing something small, every day, you're going to have a 44% increase. 1.01, which gets you 37.7, that's a 3,679% increase. And I did the math. I checked the math. I asked ChatGPT. That's what it is. I think now that we're out of school and not really using math every day, we kind of lose our confidence that these things actually work. Math is pretty static, but small things matter. It's not the big things that matter. And so what I want to do today is just quickly go through a lot of the small things, or not all the small things, but a series of small things that you could be just doing every day. And you don't need to do them all every day, but if you just focused on one of these every day, have a checklist. It's okay, every day I'm going to do something here. My sense is you probably end up doing more than one, but these things will add up in time, and they do add up in time. I'll add commentary where something comes to mind, but let me just go through. It's a quick list. I think it might be 20, 25 things. So we kind of got to race here a little bit. Update your LinkedIn profile, update your social media profiles. Doesn't have to be LinkedIn, but it can, those sorts of things, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, just updating little things. It matters. Those changes people see, those changes people note. Attend industry functions. I don't know what industry you're in, but there are functions out there. Podcasters have functions. You should be going to these things. Exchanging business cards. I know some people will bristle at that. They're not into the business card thing anymore, and that's fine. But it's certainly exchanging information is very useful. Having people's information, if it's electronic, that's great. I don't have a problem with a business card. I tend to enter it in. I tend to do a little more with a business card. I have business cards. I hand out business cards, but making sure your business card gets out. Exchanges on social media. I interviewed a couple women on my podcast, and their whole existence. One's based in the United States, and the other person is based in Australia. Their business stemmed from the two of them. The two of them just commenting on the same post. That's how it started. Actually, I've got to duck down here because I have the book. It's called the LinkedIn Branding Book. Michelle B. Griffin and Michelle J. Raymond. And I mean, literally, the company goes 24 hours a day because one of the two of them is awake at some point. But that just all started from a comment on social media, on LinkedIn. Join professional groups. Certainly a plug for AmSpirit Business Connections. I'll put a plug in there for BNI. I'll put a plug in there for Gold Star, Latip, all these organizations. Join them. Join the chamber. Get involved. There's lots of professional groups that are out there. Doesn't have to be mine. It can be a group, but certainly get involved with them. Set up informational interviews. I thought that's something that's really kind of overlooked. And what I mean by that is just calling somebody and saying, "Hey, I'd love to learn about your business. You're more successful than I am. I want to just kind of pick your brain for a few minutes, and don't expect somebody's going to give you an hour of their time, but 5-10 minutes. What would you suggest I be doing, or what did you do?" I always find that I learn things. Next thing is following up. I see people going to networking events and that's it. And they don't follow up. They'll be on a Zoom call. They don't follow up. And I'm not saying you need to follow up with everybody, but maybe pick one or two people, one for sure, right? I mean, you can't do less than one, but follow up with somebody and build a relationship. and see where it goes. And then when you go to the next thing, follow up with somebody. Again, it doesn't have to be everyone. That would just kind of grind your business day to a halt. Um, but follow up, offer help to other people. Um, you know, obviously that's what you need. Everyone on here needs help. Um, Offering help to other people. Even a better way is, rather than just offering, just do things for people. Somebody puts a post up there, you just, you know, make a comment, like it, share. You don't need to be asked to do that. I'm looking at my comments here on LinkedIn that are coming in. Thank you for the people putting comments in. Matt, good to see you. Those those things are helpful. They're small things, but they're helpful. So just do them for other people. They take note. Attend webinars, online workshops. There's lots of these things going on. I always learn something. I always meet somebody new, somebody who's very interested in what I'm about. I was on one last week, Speakers Connections, which was out of Norway, and met some great people. Interestingly enough, mostly in the United States. Very interesting. Volunteer, that's a big thing for me. Get out and volunteer, give your time to the community. Rub elbows with people who have the same passions that you do is a great way to get yourself networked. I'm not saying devote all your waking hours to volunteering, but I am saying put a little bit of time into it. It's a great little something that you can do every day. Use your alumni network. When I talk to kids who are coming out of college and they're looking for jobs, I tell, if you went to Baylor, look for other people who went to Baylor. And, back to what I said before, just, connecting with somebody and conducting an informational interview. You don't have to call it that. Hey, I'm graduating from Baylor too. This is awesome. Can I talk to you for 5 minutes? You're kind of in the profession I want to get into. I want to hear from you what you think I should be doing. Attend company events. I have to admit, when I worked for a company or when I worked for a firm, I avoided them. I always had a reason not to go to the Christmas party, and it was stupid. You know, I'm I'm a work in progress, right? But looking back, it's like, yeah, it was something I should have done. And I had friends who did those sorts of things, and they just had a better existence with respect to um, their career. And it's something, if I had to do it all over again, I would do it differently. Offer to present or speak. I'm always looking for opportunities to get out there and talk and just share what I know. And in fact, I've got a couple tomorrow that I need to be that I get to be doing. And I want to make it's totally a plus. I don't, um, 20, 30 minutes, I get to share about what I know and help somebody, and at the same time, really kind of promote what I'm about. Um, Ask for introductions. I know we all need business, but not everybody has business for us. But everybody has a network that they can share, and ask for people to share those things. One of the other things I talk about is just being organized. I try to, if I most people, I'll enter into what I'll call my Rolodex, my contact manager, and just so I have it. It may go nowhere, but at least I have it. Somebody was emailing me over the weekend. Hey, do you remember this person? Well, I do. I do remember this person, and um, I have their information. And here's their LinkedIn, and which is not always easy if people have common names. But stay organized. Just it's easier to stay organized than trying to catch up on these things. Um, Personal messages. I have boxes of cards I can write handwritten notes about. I know there's the send out cards people, and that's fine if that's how you want to do it. I would rather write a handwritten note. I use Sharpies. My handwriting is horrible, but I just make that extra effort, at least for me, put a stamp on it. They can have my crappy writing, and it's a short little message to say, hey, it was great to meet you, or thanks, or whatever. I might send them a copy of a book. That's just my thing. However you choose to do it, but I think those are small little things that kind of that resonate. Attend after work mixers, business after hours, things like that. The other 2 cents I want to throw onto that is when you attend those things, show up early, maybe stay late. Most only run a couple hours or so. But that's, those were that's where a lot of the chaos is over. Right in the beginning, people are just getting there. It's probably newer people that are getting there. And then towards the end, there are a lot of great people as well. Next one, reach out to former colleagues. And I have done episodes on this. I'll continue to talk about this. Well, I just talked about it with Dr. Seuss. Running into a former colleague, and that was just happenstance that he ran into his former colleague. You can take it upon yourself to find these people. LinkedIn is a wonderful thing. Social media is a wonderful thing. It really is keeping us connected, and take advantage of it. Just reach out and say, you know what? It's been a few years. Let's just catch up. I want to hear how you're doing. And then from there, you can deploy a lot of these things. You can send them a follow-up note. You can find ways to help them, maybe connect with them at an after hours. So that, these things are all kind of intertwined. Participate in online forums. If speaking is your thing, there are lots of opportunities out there to find places to speak. I was mentioning the program out of Norway. It's called Speaker Connections, and that's really what it's geared for. They have a platform that you can put your information on there. You can post events as well. There are free versions and paid versions, like a lot of things out there. But there's a lot you can take advantage of for free, and even the paid version is really inexpensive. I think it's a few $100s for a year to get events you have up on their platform. And the last thing I'll say is practice active listening. Just sit and listen to people. That goes a long way. It doesn't seem like much, right? All of these things don't seem like much. And that's the point. That's the 0.01 of the 1.01. 1.00 is just doing what you've always done. Going to work, getting the things you need done every day. But the 0.01 or the 0.001 are the extra little things that you can do on a daily basis. None of these things really take a whole lot of time. I'm not saying you need to spend all your time going to events and things like that. Occasionally put these things in there. Changing social media, making posts, commenting on posts really don't take a long time. Again, create a checklist for yourself. But they're all just kind of 0.01. And if you embark on these things consistently over time, kind of like the company Stora Enso, you'll have, you'll grow, and you'll be around, you'll be relevant, and you'll be more and more relevant as time goes on.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today, and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.